Hello guys, welcome back for another video. In this video I will show you the making of some smaller parts for the Nashorn. I have started work on these brackets, which are for the gas mask canister. So we'll need to drill a few holes in it and then we can attach them to the hole. They will be in like this. There will be on each band piece there will be a strap, a short one on these two and a long one with some clasps to hold down the canister, and then these are finished so we can paint and put them in. Some other pieces that I need to make are the mounting brackets for the MG34. There will be two of them, one on the left side, one on the right side. Another bracket for the scherenfernrohr, the binoculars. I'm also going to make some brackets for the canisters or two storage bins on top of the toolbox inside the Nashorn. And also I need to make made a rough sketch of it. I don't know if you can see it. It's a bracket for supporting the weight of the driver when he gets in the vehicle. Underneath will be two hoses for the cooling oil for the steering diff. That's not the original part, but since we use a different steering diff, yeah, we have an oil canister for the cooling oil, and stepping on the hose in time will degrade them, so we have to protect them. I'm going to make a bracket for that. So in order to bend the round shape, made this mandrel. Have a rod so it can keep it in place, and I can just bend it around, and by trial and error I know what size diameter I need. So I just tried the piece and it was too big, so I looked at the difference, but yeah, when I looked at the difference I knew how much smaller diameter the mandrel should be, and this is just a short piece to show you how I did it, but I used a longer piece because at the beginning and the end you always have a straight piece, so to prevent as much as possible waste I used a longer piece to bend it. So this is the bent piece, and I have to have two smaller bends on it and do that in a vise. Have some rounded pieces welded in so that the bend isn't too sharp, and then I can hammer them over. So due to the hammering, the rounded shape is a little bit off now, so I put it around the form again to push it back into shape. You can see the difference, they almost fit into each other now. And now this. So for bending the bracket I'm using this tool, something I learned in school when learning for metal work or for working on planes. So as you saw before I cut this piece out, I scored it on two sides where I want to bend it. Downside of this, you still have to weld it afterwards, otherwise it's going to crack here. The positive side is you don't need a brake press for it. Of course I can go to a guy with a brake press, but for just one part that isn't original anyway, this is the easiest way. And the part I showed you before that helps in bending it, because then I can clamp it all over the surface on the full length. It's just a homemade part. You can see it's a lot easier to bend now, and it will also bend straight. Now I have the cut on the outside, so I have to fully weld it. I can also make it on the inside. Then I can also then I can put a few tack welds in, well, more than just a few, and it will be strong enough. But yeah, this is what I normally do, is stronger and has a good result. Barely fits, so I should have started with this one. If this distance would have been a bit short, I wouldn't have fit. So always good to pay attention. So for the other side it's shorter, so I need to bend the other piece first. So get the angle straight. Because I welded in the outside, it will open up a bit, so I can get the angles a little bit too sharp, and then it will be okay, but I will only put a few dots on it. That will strengthen it, and then weld the rest, and then that will prevent from opening up further. So I have to straighten the angles now. You can see one side is shorter than the other side. On one side I already have some blocks on the floor, and those are thicker than the standard 10mm blocks that you weld somewhere on it, and that you weld somewhere onto for screwing down a bracket like this. So that's why the height difference. So I will prepare this off camera, finish it, get the holes in, and make 2 blocks for the other side, weld it down on the hull and screw it in. There will be 2 hoses coming out from one side and then the floor underneath, so you can step on it without damaging the hoses. So I've prepared a bunch of parts here, like this one. This is for the scherenfernrohr. That's the binoculars. I'll show you. So these ones, they will sit on a shaft here, and this part will be mounted to a bracket, and that bracket will be welded to the hull. It's not in there anymore, but you can see what was, and then you can hinge it out, and this will hinge on the bushing, will be mounted in here, so like here but on the other side with a hinge pin. Then we have 2 brackets with the hole for the hinge pin in it. Bottom one has a slot and you can clamp it down. That will be this part. It's like a bolt. I have to drill a hole in it and then put this shaft in, weld the ring on, and you have same as for a vise for clamping down the handle. And then the top one has just a hinge hole, but an extra hole for a pin that will go in here. And there are 2 holes here, so you can either have it like this or hinge it out and lock it in that position. And to get those holes very precise, I will only drill small holes in here, and then when the hinge pin is in, everything is assembled, then I will use this block as a master to drill the holes in the correct position, so that's more precise and there's a little play on it. Then we have a few brackets. Honestly, I don't know for what part they are. We haven't found out yet. This is a sort of box, but we don't know exactly which type of box. This will be welded into the hull, and then with bolts you can bolt these brackets on, and these brackets are attached somehow to the part, to the box itself. So we will mount these, and we can make the box later when we know exactly what it is, and place that in the Nashorn as well. And we have these parts, so we have two discs. I've tack welded them together so I can drill the holes more easily. I only have to drill 4 holes now instead of 8 holes. Later on this will be welded together and then mounted to this bracket. So like this, so also have to drill the holes in here. Sorry, wrong way around. So like this will be also welded to the hole, and this, the mounting bracket for the MG34 will go on this, and then will bolt down on here. And then I have one more bracket. It's not original to the Nashorn, but since we use the FE432 steering unit, there are 2 hoses for the cooling oil. And to prevent the driver from stepping on them constantly, I have made a bracket. Still have to drill the hole for that. So I will do that. And then the larger holes I will do here with magdrill, and I have to figure out how I will clamp it strong enough to drill the hole in a good way. Because in other videos you could see I used the vise for clamping something down, but the vise, because I can move it in and out, it's not sturdy enough. So I will have to find a different way for clamping, but yeah, we'll figure it out and I'll show you when I've got it. And then of course the brackets for the gas masks. I have drilled most holes. This one needs to be 35. I put the mag drill on the table and I clamp down this piece. So for this it should be okay, but for these blocks this hole needs to be 24. Yeah, I have to see if I can do it the same. When that's okay, then yeah, no problem. And otherwise I have to figure another way out. So let's drill this hole. Already pre-drilled it till 17.5. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. So it fits. Not a really clean hole. It's a US drill, so it's wobbling a bit. But I just weld around it, clean it up, and it's okay. Hopefully the other drill is a bit more straight, and you could see I lowered RPM, which went a lot better, and I think maybe one setting lower would be even better. I think maybe it's even good if I do it like this, tack weld it on here. It's easy to clean off later, so I've finished some parts, tapped these brackets so they can be welded in, and then as soon as we know what type of box and the dimensions, we can make that, or maybe original one. And these are finished as well, of course except painting, and they also need to be welded in. They will sit inside the hole, and then the bracket for the MG34 mount will be slid over and screwed into the top. And there are 2 of them, one left, one right. And I feel some splatter. And then this bracket. So take this pin out. Still have to get a chain, but anyway, this can slide out like this. You can put the pin back in. And then on here the binoculars will mount. This one can tighten so this pin stays in, and I'll need a little bolt for locating this pin so that it stays in. And then of course this part slides on like this. You can tighten it and it will stay on, and then you can slide it out, secure it, and use it to look in the distance without moving your head above the armor. So this part's also ready for installment. So I will show you when these parts are installed. I have to find out the exact position, but I have a few more parts that I need to prepare because the welder has to be moved over to the other hole where the Nashorn is, and then I can weld over there, so that I don't have to keep moving the welder up and down. So we'll prepare everything that I need to weld over there, and then we'll do that work. To mark these plates up, I have used spray paint. It's a lot faster. And then a template to put on it, and then to spray it. I was thinking of how easy it would be to have a steel template and then scribe it. But of course I made one first to see when I finish one part, one bracket, and then I can see, so this is a half, need one mirror image, and then I have brackets. So I want to make one and then put it on the ammunition rack and see if the measurements look right, because the thickness of the material we didn't get, but we could look at the picture with a ruler close by and determine the thickness from that. But yeah, it always can deviate a bit. It looks different than it really is. So the idea was to make one and look at it, compare it to the picture, because it looks thicker than what we measure on the picture. So we want to compare it, but of course now I made one, I can use it as a template, and then all are the same. But because I will have to bend this one, I will cut another one for the other half and then scribe a third one and use that one for the rest. I need 8 halves, so 4 brackets in total. So at the moment I'm working on the brackets to hold down the ammunition boxes. I have a piece of angle iron that's welded to the hull, and it bolts to the bracket, and the bracket's bolted on the top of the ammo rack or ammo box. So there's a bent piece, 2mm steel. I've cut out the blanks and made a scorch mark in them. Also put a little bit of paint on them so that the scorch mark is more easily to see, or with the scratch pen, and then I scorch it with a grinder for bending, and then I can easily bend it. So I'll show you how I do it here in the vise. Of course I can go to someone with a brake press, but because these two bends, they are so close to each other, that will be very difficult in a brake press as well. Yeah, so I do it by hand. And then of course I have to re-weld all the scorch marks I made with the grinder. Drill the holes. I have marked these pieces for drilling. We'll drill them, and then I will tack weld them in place. Also we'll drill these holes and then leave it for that till the ammo racks are ready. As you could see in the previous video, I will put the link up in the top right hand corner for you, so you can see that video. When assembling the ammo racks, I have only tack welded because I wasn't exactly sure about all the measurements, and it turned out to be a good thing that I only tack welded it, because the backside, let's say this is the shape, it's a bit narrower as it is now, the side of the ammo rack. And what we have seen now is a small detail it has a small angular corner on the side of the superstructure that goes in the same angle as the superstructure that we could barely see on pictures. Now we know it, we did have that picture, but it's very difficult to see. So that has to be changed. It's a few small changes, so it's easy enough to do so, especially because I only decided to tack weld it just to be sure. So we are gonna change those dimensions, and then the MRX can go back into the Nashorn, and I can start working on the interior of the MRX. And that's also a lot of work because it has 8 grenades per side to MRX, so a lot of parts to make, but that's another video. So I have this tooling. It's 2 angle irons and a piece of tube, so you have like sort of tweezers. If the material is longer than the vise, I can use it to clamp it on the entire width, and then it's hammering over. I will do it slowly. If I go on this side all at once, then I will have a bend in this piece. So that was the easy part. Now I have another piece of tooling, just a piece of steel, because then I can reach in this corner. I believe the original pieces would have been made in a big press with a shaped form, so they can do it all at once, but they're still like this one welded in the middle. So this is the other half, same blank but scorched on the other side. So 2 halves make 1 hole. So I have tack welded the parts together. Got 4 of them. Got 3 of these, and then 1 that's a bit longer. The reason for that, the superstructure on the left hand side is bowed outwards, and instead of forcing everything in more than we already tried to get it as straight as possible, and it's only a few centimeters, it's like 3 centimeters bowing outwards. So the easiest way is to put a longer bracket in, so that everything is holding the parts together, but it is not under tension. This will be it for this video. I'll leave the parts as is, still to be welded, because there are other parts to be made, also welded, and I will do that in one go. And then when everything is ready, then I will take the welder to the Nashorn and weld everything in which needs to be welded, or screw it in, or bolt it in, and then we move on to the next job. So thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. And for those who want to support this channel, I have a Patreon channel as well. Link will be down in the description, and see you for the next video.